Hey guys, it's Sarah and I have some books to haul. I don't know how many books I have sitting here ready to haul, but I know that whatever the number is, it's too many. I have quite a few books that were sent to me by publishers, which is awesome. I have a small handful of books that I bought in random places, and then I have a book outlet box because they had to go and have a spring sale, and it's been a very long time since I put in an order. So I did it, and that number still equals too many. The first two books I want to share were actually part of an exchange that I did. I'm in quite a few different book-related groups on Facebook, and one that I recently joined did a spring swap. And so you get paired up with somebody, and you share wish lists, and you do all these things and answer questions and kind of talk to your partner, and you send each other a book. And my partner and I, we talked a little bit, got to know each other a little bit, and then we both sent each other books, and we both sent each other 2 books. So that was really cool. You're only supposed to send 1, but we got a little generous, which is awesome. And I was really excited to see what she ended up sending me. So she sent me, the first one is Beyond the Point. This is by Claire Gibson. And this is a book that was just part of a book of the month option, I believe, for the month of April. And it immediately intrigued me because this surrounds some female soldiers who are at West Point right around the time when 9/11 happened, or right in the aftermath of 9/11, something like that. But I want to read more books that have 9/11 as a backdrop or as one of the big features in the book. I don't think there's a whole lot out there quite yet about that. So when I heard about this one, I immediately thought, ooh, I really want to read that. And so I'm really happy that she picked this one off my wish list. And the second one that she sent me, I think I squealed when I opened the box. And that is My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing. I cannot wait to read this book. This has been pitched as Mr. and Mrs. Smith meets Dexter, and I am all over those. I love Mr. and Mrs. Smith. It's one of my favorite movies, and I love Dexter. Love Dexter. So as soon as I heard that, and then I've seen quite a few people reading this and really loving it and saying that's absolutely the vibes that you get from this book, I'm so excited about this one. So this follows a couple who are married, and I believe they have children. Their children, I think, are grown at this point, and they're trying to keep their marriage spicy. And I think they do that by the husband finding victims for his wife to kill. Totally normal, right? Like, what could go wrong? Oh, I can't wait to read this. I'm so excited. So Rachel, thank you for doing the swap with me and for sending me those 2. I'm so excited. All right, this next one was sent to me by William Morrow, and it's something that comes out on May 7th, and that is Pride, Prejudice, and Other Flavors by Sonali Dev. And I had not heard of this one before they sent it to me, but this is a Pride and Prejudice retelling, and it's a gender swap. So the more privileged of the couple is the female, and then the male is kind of struggling a little bit, has some family issues that he's dealing with and all that. So, yeah, I have read Pride and Prejudice. I didn't love it the way most people do. So I don't really intentionally seek out Pride and Prejudice retellings, but they did go ahead and send this one to me. Again, it comes out May 7th. So if you do love Pride and Prejudice retellings, this might be something you want to look out for. And I do like the fact that it's gender swapped. I think that'll be interesting. And yeah, so this one's coming up. All right, this next one was sent to me by, Waterbrook Multnomah Publishing. They're an imprint of Random House, and it's called My First Rodeo. And this is by Stony Stamper, who has a blog called The Daddy Diaries. And the tagline on here is how 3 daughters, 1 wife, and a herd of others are making me a better dad. So this is a nonfiction inspirational book, and I believe it is Christian as well. And it is just kind of lessons that he's learned, raising 3 daughters, and, things that he's learning about that, or that he has learned about that. And it's based off of his very apparently popular blog that he runs as well. So this one, when does it come out? This one comes out on April 30th, so very quickly here. But if you guys are interested, this is coming out soon. It's a very short one, but it is supposed to be like an inspirational type of book. All right, this next one I requested, and I'm really, really happy that they sent it to me. This was sent to me by Putnam, and it is from an author that I have read from before, and I really, really enjoyed her first book, and that's Bianca Maris, and this is If You Want to Make God Laugh. And her first book was called Hum If You Don't Know the Words, and it was set in South Africa, and it followed two different women, and their lives were linked, and you kind of follow the very different paths that they were taking, even though they were still in each other's lives. And it was so good. I really enjoyed that book a lot. And so when I heard she was having a new one come out, I knew I wanted to read it. So I asked for it, and they very kindly sent it my way. And this one, again, is set in South Africa in Johannesburg, and it follows a young girl named Zadwa, and she's 17. She is 8 months pregnant, and she is living in a squatter camp, basically. And so she's dealing with poverty, threat of a civil war in the area, and the growing AIDS epidemic. And so she is also guarding some secrets in her life that could very much put her in jeopardy. So she's dealing with all of that. It says across the country, a wealthy socialite named Ruth appears to have everything, but it's what she can't have that leads her to her breakdown. So she's having some issues as well. And then there's also a disgraced former nun whose name is Delilah, and she is dealing with a past that won't stay buried either. So these three women are all dealing with really, really intense things in their lives and things that are life-threatening. And somehow all three of them their lives end up connected somehow. So I'm very excited to read this. Again, this comes out in June 16th. So I will definitely be reading this very soon so I can review it for you guys. But as soon as I heard she had a new book out, I immediately wanted it. Okay, so this next one is an ARC, and I won it on Instagram. So William Morrow posted a picture of this ARC. And the whole point of the giveaway was that you try to guess how much this ARC weighs, because it's huge. So they just posted it and said, guess how much this weighs. Anyone who guesses correctly will receive a copy of the ARC. And so I guessed 2 pounds exactly, and I was one of the winners. So that was really, really awesome. Now, okay, this is called Fall or Dodge in Hell by Neal Stephenson. I have heard of Neal Stephenson. He writes science fiction. So I knew it was going to be like a sci-fi type thing, and it has a whole bunch of like code and stuff on here. And this one comes out in June. I'm probably not going to read it before then, I'll be honest with you, but I want to give away, so it's not like I have a pressing deadline or anything, but this sounds really, really cool. So our main character's name is Dodge, and he is a multi-billionaire. He developed either like a gaming system or something about video games where he is very, very wealthy because of it. And he's supposed to have, you know, like a genius brain. Well, he undergoes a routine surgery that goes completely wrong. He ends up brain dead. But in his will, he has indicated that he wants his body or his brain donated to a cryonics company where they can actually freeze your brain and in the future be able to kind of turn it back on, if you will. So he's getting pretty like almost preserved to come back to life, basically, like you're cheating death. And so they do this for him because it's in his will. His family has to do it. And so he does come back, but I think he comes back in kind of an alternate universe. And I don't think things are very happy. So it sounds so cool, and it's huge. I believe it's just a standalone. It doesn't say book one or anything, so I think it's just a standalone thing, but it sounds really interesting. I do want to read this. And when I entered the giveaway, I had no clue what it's about. But then when I read the synopsis, when I got it, I was like, yeah, I kind of want to read this. It sounds a little bit like dark matter-y type where, you know, there's alternate universes and all that stuff. So that sounds really interesting. But yeah, it's huge, but I'm intrigued. And William Morrow also sent me a finished copy of this book that I got unsolicited, and that is The Unlikely Adventures of the Shergill Sisters by Bali Kaur Jaswal. I hope I said that correctly. This is the author of erotic stories for Punjabi Widows, which I have seen and heard about. And then this is the second book that she has written. And this one follows 3 different British Indian sisters, and they are fulfilling their mother's dying wish. And they are supposed to, I'm going to double check and make sure I say this correctly. They are supposed to complete some rites of pilgrimage at the Golden Temple in India. So they have to go to a Golden Temple in India and perform a rites of pilgrimage, I guess. And that's what their mother wants them to do. So the 3 sisters come together, try to do this thing. They are all dealing with very tricky situations in their life. So I'm sure all that is coming into play as well while they're trying to do this for their mother. And I'm sure there's some self-discovery stuff happening as well. But this does come out April 30th. So if you liked her first book and you want to read more from her, this will be available soon, but it sounds interesting. All right, so this next one is an arc that was sent to me by Mira, and that is The Flight Girls. And this is by Noelle Salazar. This is her first book. And this follows a group of women who were military pilot trainers. So they trained pilots in the military in World War II. And that is a real thing that happened. There was a real flight of women who trained pilots how to fly in Hawaii around World War II timeframe. So this book is inspired by that group of women, and it follows our main character. Her name is Audrey, and she's always wanted to fly. Her dad taught her how to fly. So she does definitely have, the experience and the knowledge and everything to be able to do this, which is why she joins this team. She makes incredible friendships, even a love interest during her time there. She also finds herself kind of in the middle of the Pearl Harbor bombings. So that's kind of like one of the main things that happens in here and how that affects her and her crew and all that stuff. This sounds really interesting. I'm really excited about it. And this comes out July 2nd. So I will definitely be reading this over the summer. Okay, so those were the books that were sent to me. And now I have a few books that I bought myself. The first one, I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit kicking myself for this one. I went into Barnes & Noble, which I don't do very often. It's not super close to my house, and let's be real, it's expensive if you buy a full price book there. But I went in, I had some time, and there was one book in particular I've just been really thinking about wanting to pick it up and read. So I went ahead and got it. However, it's the first book in a trilogy, and I'm not kidding you, the next day that trilogy went on Book Outlet. And you can get the box set for the same price that I paid for one book. Everything's fine. I was like, really? It's all right. It's all right. All right. So I got A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. And since I read Vicious recently, I really want to read more from her for sure. And so this is one that I've been thinking about reading at some point anyway, because I've heard very, very good things about it. And I figured I would go ahead and pick up the first one. The trilogy's on Book Outlet now. It's fine. It really is. I'm not going to be reading the entire trilogy anytime soon anyway, so I don't need the trilogy yet. But I kind of was like, yeah, it's okay. It's all right. I supported Barnes & Noble. It's fine. Everything's fine, but I have it. So as soon as I'm ready to pick it up, I can definitely do that. But this is a fantasy book that follows different versions of London. So each version of London, I think there's 4. There's red, black, gray, and white. And each one has a different type of magic system, or magic affects each different type of London differently. And our main character has a very unique ability to be able to go to the different types of Londons. And I don't think anyone else has that ability. So I believe there's something about smuggling involved as well. And I've just heard really, really good things about the trilogy. So yep, got the first one. Then I went to BooksAMillion, and anytime I'm at BooksAMillion, I always look through their bargain books because they have a huge selection of books. A lot of them are hardbacks, and a lot of them are books I've been looking out for. The first one is one that I have been wanting for a long time since this edition of this book came out. It's a book that I want to reread for sure, and I'm super excited about it, and I loved the anniversary cover. So I got The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton, and this is the 50th anniversary. I love the leather jacket on the cover there. And I forgot how short this book is. It's super short, but Oh, and it says Stay Gold on the back. Oh, I love it. I have just really been wanting to reread this for sure. And I read it when I was in high school. It was the only required reading in high school that I remember absolutely loving. I loved it. And then we watched the movie and then I loved it even more because the movie's fantastic. So I do want to reread this at some point and watch the movie again. But I found this at BooksAMillion and I think I paid $4.97 for it. So it was perfect. Next one, I picked up a BooksAMillion in the bargain section as well. And I don't remember exactly how much it was, but it was like $4 or $5 as well. And that's Now I Rise. And this is by Kiersten White. This is book number 2 in her Vlad the Impaler retelling, which is a gender swap. So it's a female version of Vlad the Impaler. And I know it's a trilogy for sure. I don't know if there's going to be more after book 3, but I know that there are 3 books out currently. And this is book number 2. I do have book number 1. Haven't read it yet, but when I found book number 2 for really super cheap, I went ahead and grabbed it. This is a big book too. But Kiersten White is definitely an author I would like to read from. I haven't read anything by her yet. And now I have number 2. And then these next 2 that I bought are books that I got at a Salvation Army that is near-ish to my house. And I don't go in there too often, but every so often I do, and they have a book section. So the first one I grabbed is Secrets of Southern Girls. This is by Haley Harrigan. I have never heard of this book, but I picked up, I read the synopsis and it sounds interesting. There is our main character named Julie. She used to live in a small town in Mississippi, but then she moves to Manhattan, and she kind of goes to Manhattan to escape something bad that happened in her small town involving her best friend. I think her best friend is dead. She may be responsible for it. And she ends up finding herself in a situation where she has to go back home and she has to face all those demons. So yeah, I went ahead and picked it up. It was like $1. And I found a really beautiful copy of Rebel of the Sands by Alwyn Hamilton. I've heard mixed things about this one. So this is a young adult fantasy book, and I've heard mixed things, but for $1, it's always something that's kind of been on my radar a little bit to pick up at some point. So yeah, I don't know, but I believe it was marketed as one thing, but a lot of people said that's not really the vibes they got when they read it. But I'm interested enough that I picked it up for $1, and it's a really nice, hardback, beautiful cover. So we'll see. All right. Ooh, book outlet time. All right. I think I'm just going to hold this in my lap and pull books out, and we're just going to do it that way. This will be fun. Okay, nothing can go wrong. First one here is Jefferson Sons, and this is by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley. She is the one that wrote The War That Saved My Life, which I read for my class recently, and I absolutely love that book. And then when I saw this one, I was like, yes, because I had heard about it. And story time, my dad's side of the family has a direct bloodline to Thomas Jefferson, like a direct bloodline. I believe one of our ancestors, like with our same last name, my maiden name, was either his grandmother or his great-grandmother. I'd have to look at it again, but we have like all the documentation and all that stuff. But we found that out in the past year or so. So that's pretty cool that I have a direct bloodline to Thomas Jefferson. That's pretty awesome. So when I saw this, I was like, yeah. So definitely want to read more about him and learn more about him now. I mean, aside from what everybody already knows anyway. But this is about his sons, I believe, that he had with one of his slaves. I think he had a few children with one of his slaves, at least one. So yeah, I thought it would be interesting to read about this, but this is a fiction book, so it's not like a nonfiction book, but yeah. All right, and I was making this order and I needed, $35 to get the free shipping, and I couldn't decide on the last book. I needed one more book type thing. And then I looked up this author because I went, you know what? I really, really want to read more from this author, really badly. And then I found the first book in one of his series, and I was like, yes. So Jay Kristoff. This is Stormdancer, and it's the first book in the Lotus War series that he has. And I believe this is an Asian-inspired kind of wartime series. And I was like, I'm interested, definitely. I love Jay Kristoff. I've only read one book by him, which was Nevernight, but it's one of my favorites. And I just want to read everything that he touches now. So I went ahead and put this in my cart. Okay, so this next one is one that I heard about on someone else's channel, and I had never seen it anywhere. And when it popped up on Book Outlet, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to read that so bad. It's been on my radar ever since I heard about it. I got a UK version. I don't know if it's available in the States, to be honest with you. Like, every time I was able to find it, it was from the UK. So I don't think this is available in the States right now. But I got it on Book Outlet, and it just sounds so interesting. And they only had one copy, so I grabbed it like real quick. That's 13. This is written by Steve Kavanaugh. Now, the tagline on here is, the serial killer isn't on trial, he's on the jury. Yes. So this is a serial killer sitting on the jury of a trial that he should be the defendant for, but he's not. Someone else has been arrested for it, and he's on the jury, but he's the one who committed the crimes. That sounds so brilliant to me, and it's so intriguing. And I was so happy I found it on Book Outlet, because I really haven't been able to find it anywhere except Book Depository. So yeah. Oh, I'm so excited for this one. All right. So speaking of Victoria Schwab, I went ahead and grabbed This Savage Song by her as well. And this is the first book in a duology. They have the second book on Book Outlet, but it's in hardcover, and this is a paperback, so I obviously want to have the second one in paperback as well when I do get to that point. But this is a fantasy book, and I believe this involves monsters and humans, and I think a monster and a human end up forming a bond, or I don't know if they fall in love. I'm not sure. It has something to do with music as well. So I've heard really good things about it, about the duology, together. So I went ahead and grabbed the first one, and I love the cover. A cute little fun one that I saw that was really, really super cheap, and that's Bunheads. And this is by Sophie Flack. And I think this was made into a TV show. I want to say there's a TV show called Bunheads, and I'm wondering if it was based on this book or not. I'm not 100% sure. If you know, let me know. But this follows ballerinas and the competition that they go through, and, trying to stand out when you're surrounded by amazing dancers. And I am a dancer. In my youth, I was a dancer. I danced in high school and a little bit in college as well. And so I've always loved dancing. I love all the dancing reality shows and all that stuff, and any shows and movies about dancing. I just love them. So I went ahead and picked this up. Okay, so the whole reason I even placed this order is because there was 2 books on here that I really wanted to read. I'd been interested in them for a while, and then I found out that they are adapting at least the first book into a TV show, and I was like, okay. So I got The Rook by Daniel O'Malley. I'm not 100% sure what this is. It's a supernatural Secret Service thing. So I don't know if it's like something in England. It might be, but there's supernatural stuff happening, and I think it's like supernatural Secret Service that serves the Queen. So it was enough to get me like, interested. And then, TV show adaptation, definitely interested. And then they had the second book on there, Stiletto. So I went ahead and grabbed both of these. These are actually pretty big books. I'm a little disappointed the spines don't match, because the spine is super awesome. But first world problem, Sarah, shut up. So yeah. Okay. So I got those. And then I got another follow-up book to a book that I already have. So this is book number 2. This is Shiny Broken Pieces by Sonia Cherapotra and Danielle Clayton. And this is the sequel to Tiny Pretty Things, which I have on my shelf already. And this is a dancing drama as well. I think it follows like a ballet company and drama and all that stuff. I've heard really good things about it. So I went ahead and picked up the second book too. All right, so let's talk about Casey West. I have not read a Casey West book yet. I am interested, but I hesitate on buying them because I have a feeling they're just going to be fluffy palette cleansers for me, where they're cute, they're adorable, but she's probably not going to be a favorite, and it'll just be like once in a while. If I need something light and fluffy, she would be a good one. But this one has always been the one where I'm like, if I ever read a Casey West book, this is the one I want to read. So I got it. By Your Side by Casey West. This is following a girl and a boy who end up getting locked in a library, I think over a weekend. Yeah, like AKA my dream. I would love to be locked in a library over the weekend. Let's be real. So yeah, I went ahead and picked it up. It was like $2. Why not? And I'll give her a try at some point. Okay, so this next one is one that I've heard a little bit about. I've seen a few people talk about it, a few people read it. The big thing that got me was that Kayla from Books and Lala read this and she loved it, but it's like a urban fantasy book and she's not big on those, but she loved this. So that was like kind of a big, okay, I think I'm going to give that one a try. And I do like urban fantasy. So I got Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Roanhorse. This is book 1 in the Sixth World book series, I guess. I think her second one is coming out soon. I want to say, I think I've seen people talking about it or arcs have been going out and stuff. But yeah, this is supposed to be an urban fantasy following a female, I believe, kind of an apocalyptic. And I believe our main character used to live on a Navajo reservation. So that's interesting. I think she's going to have like an Indian American kind of background, and she hunts monsters. So I'm interested. I do enjoy urban fantasies for sure. So I went ahead and grabbed this one. Okay. Can we talk about Christina Lauren for a minute? Because they had this on there and I grabbed this real quick. This is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. And I read Christina Lauren, one book from them earlier this year and loved it so, so much. And I now want to read everything that they have written ever. So I'm in the process of collecting their books. I'm not kidding. And so when this showed up on Book Outlet, I was like, yes, I'm grabbing that. So I grabbed it and I'm super excited to read it at some point. And I believe this follows Josh and Hazel, who are kind of BFFs, and they set each other up on blind dates all the time, but the blind dates never go well and they always end up together at the end of the night. But they're not dating. And I think it ends up becoming kind of a game to them. So I'm sure we could probably figure out how it's going to end, but yeah, so I'm excited for this one. Okay, and then I got another sequel to a book that, a series I haven't started yet. So I'm pretty sure at the beginning of the year, I said I was not going to buy any more sequels until I have started a series and I know I want to read and own it. And I'm not sticking to that, guys. This box alone, I'm not sticking to that. Nope. But I got Frozen Tides by Morgan Rhodes. This is book number 4 in the Fallen Kingdom series. I have 4 of these books. I have not read a single one. Yeah, so it's fine. So then I got books number 1 and number 2 in a fantasy series, which is a retelling of Alice in Wonderland. I know there's a third one. I'm not sure if there's going to be more after that, but I got Queen of Hearts and Blood of Wonderland. These are both by Colleen Oakes. I've heard very good things about this series, even by people who aren't super huge Alice in Wonderland fans. I do like Alice in Wonderland. I've read the original books. But I've never really read a retelling, I don't think. And I've just heard really, really good things about this series in particular from a lot of different people. And I do like the way that the books look. I like that they look like cards almost on the front, the Queen of Hearts. So, yeah. And last, but certainly not least, because this is a book that I've been wanting for quite a while, and I'm so excited it was on Book Outlet, and that is City of Lies by Sam Hawke. This is a Poison War novel, number 1. So this is a start of a series. It is huge, but I've heard good things about it. I've heard good things and then I've heard like mediocre things. So I don't know where I'm going to fall on that, but this follows our main character who is part of a family, and he has the ability to be able to, he has the ability to pick out a poison. So I think he can like smell food, or he can sense when a poison is present in food or drink or anything like that. And I think that's like a big thing in this world, but his sister does not have that ability. She has something else I think that's kind of frowned upon. So they're trying to figure out how to navigate things like that. That's all I really know. And I've just, yeah, I don't know. I've heard good and mediocre things. I haven't heard anything really bad though. So I'm still really interested in it. And I figured I would grab it on Book Outlet while it was cheap. 25 books, guys. Okay. That's way too many books. legit. I need to stop. I do need to stop. I don't have any more rooms on my shelves, you guys. I have 0 room on my shelves right now. Like, I don't even know where these are going to go. I have no clue. I'm going to have to start getting creative about where things are going to start going, and some things are going to start piling up on my floor somewhere. It's just going to have to happen because, you know, I have a problem. Okay, I'm excited. And quite a few of these are review books that I do plan to read very soon. So there is that. But all right, that's what I got in April. Let me know down below if you guys have read any of these books. What should I start with? All that good stuff. Are there any of these review books that you're excited to see more from? And are you going to be planning to pick any of those up? I'm really excited about those. And yeah, all right, that's going to be it for me. I'm going to go. I need to go. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day.